If you're listening to this right now, there is a 97% chance that if you try to start an online business today, you're going to fail.
Yeah, that is a staggering failure rate.
Right. And not because you didn't work hard enough or because your product is bad, but because you're playing a game with rules you fundamentally just do not understand.
It really is tragic because the vast majority of those failures are these highly motivated, incredibly hardworking people who are simply, they're driving at 100 miles an hour in the completely wrong direction.
And that is exactly what we are dissecting today. We're doing a deep dive into a notoriously blunt, just fascinating document called Internet Marketing Pitfalls.
It is definitely blunt.
Oh, very.
Uh,
And the mission of this deep dive isn't just to give you like a couple of quick tips on how to sell things online.
No, it goes way deeper than that.
Exactly. Whether you're an entrepreneur or you manage a sales team or you're just someone who wants to understand the invisible mechanics behind every ad and email you see, this is a masterclass in leverage.
Leverage really is the key word there.
We're going to unpack the psychological and structural traps that cause that 97% to crash and burn. And more importantly, how to build a machine that actually works for you.
To do that, though, we have to completely discard the amateur approach to business.
Yeah.
Throw it entirely out the window.
Right. The source material paints a pretty vivid picture of what most people who call themselves quote-unquote internet marketers actually look like.
Yeah, they act like starving piranhas.
Piranhas, exactly.
They're desperate, they're reactive, and they just, they bite at absolutely anything that moves past them.
I mean, they treat business like a person standing on a busy street corner with a bad megaphone, just screaming at everyone who walks by, hoping anyone happens to care about what they're selling.
Which is exhausting and mostly useless. The source argues that true internet marketing boils down to that one single, incredibly powerful concept we mentioned: leverage.
So let's break that down mechanically. What does leverage actually look like in this context? Because it's a buzzword people throw around a lot.
It is. But mechanically, leverage is just the opposite of manual labor. If you are aggravating your friends and relatives,
The worst.
right. If you're begging your social circle to join a business opportunity or buy your product, you have zero leverage.
You're just grinding gears.
Exactly. You are engaging in what the text calls hard selling. And hard selling is basically trying to force an outcome through sheer willpower.
And leverage is the opposite of that.
Right. Leverage is setting up an environment where the outcome happens naturally. Like, think about massive brands, right? Nike, Louis Vuitton, Stevens
But definitely don't have salespeople knocking on your front door, browbeating you into buying sneakers or movie tickets.
No, of course not. Their established presence, their systems, they do the heavy lifting for them before you even enter the store.
The document uses an analogy for the hard sell approach that I absolutely love. It calls the amateur strategy marketing cars to blind people.
That is such a great phrase. Or trying to sell a baby a car.
Yes, it perfectly exposes the flaw in that whole megaphone approach.
Because if you're shouting at random people, it does not matter if the car you're selling goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it gets 100 miles to the gallon or has heated leather seats. The person you're talking to physically cannot use it. Or they simply just don't need it.
The underlying mechanism here is that the quality of your product is entirely irrelevant if the audience's intent is misaligned.
Exactly. Quality means nothing to the wrong person.
Which brings us back to the machine metaphor. If the megaphone is the wrong tool, true internet marketing is more like setting up a highly specific beacon.
The beacon, yes.
But, setting up a beacon assumes there are people actively scanning the horizon for it. How do you actually transition from shouting at everyone to finding the specific people who want what you have?
Well, you have to engineer your target audience, what the source calls your avatar.
The avatar.
Yeah. You cannot build a beacon for everyone. You have to vividly visualize the exact person whose specific problem your product solves.
Like getting super granular?
Oh, very granular. Is it a 35-year-old stay-at-home mom trying to find remote work? What specific phrases is she typing into her computer late at night? What are her daily frustrations?
So the mechanical shift here is moving from interruption to attraction.
Exactly. People are not looking for you. They're looking to solve their own problems.
I can almost hear someone listening to this right now thinking, okay, I know my avatar. I know who needs my product. Now it's time to just put my head down, grind it out, and manifest this success.
Oh boy.
Right. We live in a culture entirely obsessed with hustle. But the source takes a sharp, highly counterintuitive turn right here.
It really does. It explicitly states that relying on motivation is actually one of the biggest traps in the entire industry.
Which feels like complete blasphemy in the modern business world. I mean, the author takes direct aim at the massive self-help and guru industry that surrounds marketing.
They literally call motivation one of the biggest lies in internet marketing.
If you fail, the default assumption in our culture is always that you just didn't want it bad enough.
And that is exactly why the guru industry pushes it so hard. Think about the architecture of network marketing, or MLMs, which the source touches on quite a bit.
Oh yeah, the uplines and downlines.
Right. You have an upline, the people who recruited you and make money off your sales, and a downline, the people you recruit.
Classic structure.
If you are in a structure like that, or honestly even just a standard corporate sales team, and you are failing, your mentors will often tell you that you lack belief.
Like it's a character flaw.
Exactly. They make your failure a personal, moral shortcoming. But the source argues that doing this just shifts the blame. The reality is usually much more mechanical. Your system is simply broken.
The text uses a brilliant extension of our car analogy here to explain the mechanics of this trap.
The gas tank analogy.
Yeah, driving a car requires gas, it does not run on motivation, and it does not run on hope.
No matter how hard you visualize it.
Exactly. You can sit in the driver's seat and vividly visualize arriving at your destination all you want, but without fuel in the engine, you are going absolutely nowhere.
And worse, even if you have a full tank of gas, if you don't have a roadmap, a proven system, your motivation just helps you get lost faster.
Right, you're just driving 100 miles an hour into the woods.
Yeah, and this is where we see the trap of fake goal setting. People who rely on motivation tend to create dreams, not blueprints.
What's the example the source gives there?
So someone says, I'm going to make $5,000 a month and fire my boss.
Which sounds great on paper.
That sounds amazing, but mechanically, it is completely useless. It lacks concrete action steps. Without the structural how, a vague goal actually enables procrastination.
Because you can't just wake up on a Tuesday and execute fire my boss.
Exactly. You can, however, write 3 emails targeting my specific 35-year-old stay-at-home mom avatar.
I really appreciate how the text removes the emotional baggage from failure. It's almost a relief to hear that if you're struggling, it might not be a character flaw. It might just be a broken machine.
It takes the pressure off your ego, for sure.
But that demands a very practical question. If raw motivation isn't the fuel for this machine, what is?
Well, the system requires 2 highly tangible, highly mechanical types of fuel to survive: fresh leads and actual cash flow.
Leads and cash.
Yes. If you lack either of these, your runway disappears. Let's look at the mechanics of leads first. The amateur approach, especially in network marketing or early-stage startups, is to rely on your personal name list.
Ah, yes. Your friends, your family, your former coworkers.
Right.
The exact people you are trying desperately not to alienate at Thanksgiving.
Precisely. And the source bluntly states that this list is mechanically doomed because it will eventually, as they put it, poop out.
Poop out. That's the exact phrase.
It is a finite resource. Even expanding that by awkwardly collecting business cards at supermarkets or messaging strangers on social media, it's entirely too slow.
It's untargeted manual labor.
Exactly.
So what is the systemic alternative? If I'm not out there messaging strangers, how am I getting leads?
You exchange upfront value for access. You create a free ebook, or maybe a piece of software, or an email newsletter that solves a micro problem for your avatar.
Okay, give them something useful for free.
Right. But the real mechanical secret the source reveals is where to put that value: search engines, namely Google.
Let's pause on that because the distinction between Google and social media feels incredibly important to the system.
It changes the entire paradigm. Think about the psychological state of a user. When someone is scrolling through social media, they are passive.
Right, they're just looking for entertainment.
And your ad is an interruption to that entertainment. But when someone goes to Google, they're active. They're literally typing their specific problem into a search box.
How do I work from home or whatever?
Exactly. If you position your free solution to appear when they search for that problem, you're capturing highly relevant, targeted prospects on autopilot.
You aren't chasing them. You are simply standing at the exact destination they are already running toward.
Which is the ultimate form of leverage.
Okay, so you build the beacon, you put it on Google, and you capture the leads. That solves the fuel problem. But building that automated system takes time, which brings us to the second type of fuel: cash flow.
Cash flow is where dreams go to die if you aren't careful.
Yeah, The source introduces this concept of the martyr complex, and I want to dive deep into this because it ruins so many people.
The martyr complex is the dangerous psychological trap of thinking that suffering equals dedication.
Like, if I'm not bleeding for the business, I don't want it bad enough.
Right. People get so hyped up by their own motivation that they quit their steady jobs, they drain their savings, and they mortgage their houses to buy into the highest tier products of whatever business they're starting.
The source practically begs the reader not to do this. Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't.
And nobody respects a business martyr who ruins their family's finances because they couldn't manage basic risks.
Financial survival is the absolute prerequisite to exponential wealth. You have to manage your funds realistically so you actually have the runway to let your automated system work.
And this is where the text introduces what I think is the most brilliant mechanical strategy in the entire document, the funded proposal.
Oh, the funded proposal is a game changer.
I really want to take the time to dissect how this actually works because it flips the entire concept of advertising on its head.
It really does.
Yeah.
So a funded proposal is essentially a mathematical method designed to generate cash flow for you, even from the people who say no to your main business or your core product.
Okay, let's walk through the actual math of this so someone listening can picture the machine. Say I have a core product. I'm selling, let's call it a comprehensive training course for $1,000.
Okay, $1,000 course.
The amateur way is to spend $100 on ads, send people directly to that $1,000 course, and pray someone buys.
And most weren't.
Right, most won't, and now I'm out $100. I'm bleeding cash. How does the funded proposal change that exact scenario?
Under a funded proposal system, you don't advertise the $1,000 course at all.
Wait, not at all.
Not at first. Instead, you spend that same $100 on ads to promote a low-ticket item. Let's say a highly specific $10 PDF guide that solves an immediate painful problem for your avatar.
Okay.
You run the ad. 10 people buy the $10 guide.
So 10 people times $10 is $100.
Exactly. You have just made back your entire $100 ad spend. You broke even.
Okay, I see where this is going.
But here is the magic. You now have 10 highly qualified buyers on your email list, and acquiring them costs you absolutely nothing.
Wow, your lead generation is entirely funded.
Entirely. You then nurture those 10 people, provide more value, and eventually pitch your $1,000 core product to an audience that already trusts you and is already giving you money.
And even if 9 of them say no, the one who says yes is pure profit. You get paid to audition.
You get paid to audition. That is incredible. It completely removes the panic.
Yeah, you aren't desperate for that massive $1,000 sale just to keep the lights on. Because the $10 PDF is paying for the gasoline, you can survive indefinitely.
You have secured your runway. But the source identifies a massive roadblock right after this.
Of course there's a roadblock.
Always. You can have your target audience dialed in, you can have your search engine leads flowing, and your funded proposal paying for your ads.
All the machinery is working.
Right. But none of that machinery will convert those leads into high-ticket buyers if people do not believe a word you're saying. You need credibility, and you need a system so simple that anyone can copy it.
Let's tackle credibility first. The text points out the most dreaded question any new marketer or salesperson can hear.
So how much income are you bringing in?
Ouch. Yeah, that is a devastating question for a beginner.
Because if you're new, the honest answer is usually zero. And the source points out that if your prospects are asking you this question, it is a symptom of a larger disease.
You have zero credibility in their eyes.
Exactly. You haven't established yourself as an authority, so they are looking for raw financial proof that you know what you are doing, which, of course, you cannot provide.
So how do you mechanize credibility when you are starting with absolutely no track record? Like, what's the workaround?
You borrow it through extreme specificity. The text makes a fantastic stylistic point here. Amateurs use vague claims. They say, studies show our product works.
Which means nothing.
Right. But an architect of a system says a 1998 peer-reviewed study by the Boston University School of Medicine states.
Ah, specificity breeds instant authority.
Yes. You use third-party testimonials, you cite established research, and you let the data do the heavy lifting for your reputation.
It proves you've done the homework.
Exactly.
But establishing your own credibility is only half the battle. The other half is this concept of duplication, which is especially critical if you're building a sales team or an MLM downline or even just hiring employees.
Duplication is the lifeblood of scalable growth. The amateur methods of business cold calling, door-to-door sales, pitching strangers, they require what the author vividly describes having iron bowels of steel.
Iron bowels of steel.
You have to be able to eat rejection for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Which takes a highly aggressive, incredibly rare type of personality.
Exactly.
But if I am building a team and I recruit, say, an 18-year-old introvert who gets anxious making a phone call to order a pizza, they physically cannot replicate a charismatic CEO's aggressive closing style.
They will fail and they will quit.
Hmm.
Human beings are highly variable, and generally we avoid pain and rejection at all costs.
Yeah, that's just human nature.
That is why the source fiercely advocates for automated systems over personal charisma. As the text bluntly states, robots are more predictable than humans.
I can hear people listening to this getting overwhelmed again. Like, I just want to sell my product. I don't want to learn how to code an army of robots.
Right, but the robot is just a metaphor for a structured process, a well-designed web funnel, and an automated email sequence that is a robot.
No, I see.
If your entire sales strategy relies on you being charming on a Zoom call, your business is capped by your personal energy. It is not duplicatable.
But if your strategy relies on sending a prospect to a specific video, followed by a sequence of 3 automated emails,
Then that 18-year-old introvert can click send on that exact same system and get the exact same result as a seasoned pro.
you remove human error from the equation entirely.
Entirely.
But this brings us to what the source calls the ultimate hack for both building credibility and creating a duplicatable system: distributing a book or a PDF.
Yes.
And the logic makes sense, right? Giving someone a book you authored creates an instant bond and positions you as an expert. But I have to stop here because this is where I actually strongly disagree with the text, and I need you to explain this to me.
Oh, all right. Let's hear the pushback.
The force acknowledges that not everyone is a great writer. Not everyone can sit down and craft a brilliant, original 50-page guide.
True.
So it recommends using something called PLR, private label rights. For anyone who doesn't know, PLR is basically buying pre-written content, legally slapping your own name on it as the author, and distributing it as your own. How does the source justify that? I mean, if I buy a generic PDF, put my name on the cover, and hand it to a prospect to build trust, doesn't that completely shatter my credibility the second they realize I didn't actually write it?
That's a common concern.
It sounds like building a house on sand.
It's a completely valid fear.
Yeah.
But we have to look at the mechanics of why the source suggests this, separating the emotion from the utility.
Okay, lay it on me.
The source views this from a strictly pragmatic perspective. The ultimate goal of your system is not to win a Pulitzer Prize for original literature. The goal is to provide a solution to your avatar's problem and remove the friction from your sales process.
But if I didn't write the solution, am I actually an expert? Like, am I providing real value?
Think of it like a college professor using a textbook. The professor didn't invent calculus, right?
Right.
And they didn't write the textbook. But they curated the right textbook for the student's specific problem, and they facilitate the learning. Or think of a DJ sampling a track. The prospect isn't looking for a profound, original philosophy from you. They're looking for an answer to their problem.
So the value isn't in the original authorship. The value is in the curation and the delivery.
Precisely. If that PLR ebook contains accurate, helpful information that genuinely solves a pain point for that 35-year-old stay-at-home mom, the medium has served its mechanical purpose.
It answers her question.
Exactly. And it establishes you as the person who provided the solution. The source argues that as long as the information is high quality, leveraging pre-written content is just a smart tool to bypass a bottleneck.
Because writing a book takes months.
Right. You cannot let your lack of writing skills become an excuse to procrastinate on building your system.
Okay, I see the logic. It's the learn-to-earn mentality applied practically. If you don't have the vehicle, you borrow one to get the prospect to the destination.
Exactly. It removes the friction. It is all about maintaining momentum in the machine.
Man, this entire deep dive really shifts how you look at the digital world. I feel like we have officially dismantled the myth of the annoying, hard-selling marketers screaming into a megaphone.
We definitely laid that to rest.
We've moved toward the reality of the systematic, value-driven architect. We learned that leverage always beats raw manual labor.
Always?
We learned that proven roadmaps and tangible fuel like automated leads and funded proposals beat vague emotional motivation.
And hope is not a strategy.
And we learned that building duplicatable, predictable systems beats relying on raw charisma and an iron stomach for rejection.
It really is a complete paradigm shift from trying to force an outcome through sheer willpower to engineering an environment where the outcome becomes mathematically inevitable.
To everyone listening, whether you are actively trying to sell a product online or you are just trying to persuade your management team to adopt a new workflow, you have to stop treating your goals like a brute force physics equation. Understand exactly who your avatar is. Build a credible foundation through specific value, and let the system do the heavy lifting so you don't burn yourself to the ground.
Building on the mechanics we've discussed today, I want to leave you with a final concept to apply to your own life.
Oh, let's hear it.
Think deeply about the underlying architecture of that funded proposal idea, the mechanism of generating value, and a positive return even from a no.
Getting paid to audition.
Right. What would it look like to apply that principle to your career outside of marketing? How could you structure your daily networking, your project proposals, or your job interviews so that even your rejections yield a tangible, positive return that funds your next attempt?
Building a life where even a closed door somehow pays for the journey to the next one.
Exactly.
That is true leverage. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stop relying on raw effort and start building your machine.